In today's uncertain times, many seek refuge and protection. Did you know that Psalm chapter 91 is often referred to as the soldier's prayer? Join us as we uncover its hidden dimensions. Before we embark on this journey, let me assure you that we shall end our exploration with a profound prayer that resonates with the depths of your soul, drawing you closer to the serene folds of divine shelter. As we delve into this profound psalm, consider the resonating promise in its opening verse. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm chapter 91 verse 1. This verse isn't merely poetic, it is a cornerstone of comfort and assurance, inviting us into the safe haven provided by the Most High, a shelter in which we can find rest amid the shadows of uncertainty. In an age where many seek sanctuary and protection from the uncertainties of life, Psalm chapter 91 stands as a beacon of hope and assurance. This sacred text, often referred to as the soldier's prayer, encapsulates the profound promise of divine protection and refuge under the wings of the Almighty. Highlighting the verses of Psalm chapter 91, we begin with the comforting imagery found in verse 4. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. Here, we are invited to envision God as a tender, protective bird, enveloping us with his feathers, a vivid and intimate portrayal evoking a sense of security and warmth. The Almighty's faithfulness becomes our shield and rampart, fortifying us against the tumult and perils of our existence. The overarching themes of Psalm chapter 91 can be briefly summarized as follows: the promise of divine protection, the offering of a safe refuge, and the assurance of deliverance. These elements combine to create a powerful message for believers seeking solace and strength in times of trial. Psalm chapter 91 reassures us that by dwelling in the shelter of the Most High, we place ourselves under his protection, finding peace and rest in his enduring shadow. Divine protection, as depicted in Psalm chapter 91, transcends the mere physical security often desired in the face of adversities. It speaks to a more profound safeguarding of the soul and spirit, where trusting in God's providence delivers us from fear and anxiety. The refuge offered by the Almighty is not merely a physical haven. It is a spiritual stronghold where our faith is fortified, and our hearts find rest. Lastly, the promise of deliverance within Psalm chapter 91 assures believers that God's intervention is both present and active. Whether facing visible dangers or unseen threats, his deliverance is a certainty underscored by his unwavering faithfulness. Thus, Psalm chapter 91 invites us into a relationship of trust and reliance, where the divine protector's presence is our assurance of salvation and peace. Let us therefore anchor our hearts in the profound truths of Psalm chapter 91, remembering that under the wings of the Almighty, we are forever sheltered, shielded, and delivered. Indeed, my dear reader, let us embark on an exploration of Psalm chapter 91, examining how it seamlessly nestles within the grand narrative of the Holy Scriptures. This ancient psalm, like a precious jewel, finds its place amidst the larger mosaic of the Bible, offering a shimmering glimpse into the themes of divine protection and unwavering faith. Psalm chapter 91 is often revered for its assurances of God's protective embrace. The psalm commences with a compelling invitation: whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This opening verse sets the tone for a lyrical journey through promises of refuge and safety under the omnipotent wings of the Creator. The Bible, in its vast expanse, repeatedly weaves themes of protection and faith through its tapestry. Consider the plight of the Israelites during the Exodus. In their journey from bondage to freedom, they encountered perils at every turn. Yet, they were guided and protected by a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, manifestations of God's protective presence. Similarly, the story of Daniel in the lion's den echoes the assurance found in Psalm chapter 91. Daniel's unwavering faith led him to trust in divine shelter, even in the face of imminent danger. The lions, symbols of fear and destruction, were rendered harmless by the protective hand of God, much like the promise that no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent. Other psalms resonate with similar sentiments, reinforcing the symphony of divine safety that Psalm chapter 91 so beautifully orchestrates. Psalm chapter 46 declares, "God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble." Here, again, the image of God as a fortification and sanctuary emerges, a steadfast protector in times of adversity. Let us not overlook Psalm chapter 23, another beloved passage, where the Lord is depicted as a shepherd, diligently guarding and guiding his flock through the darkest valleys. "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." The shepherd's rod and staff serve as symbols of protection and reassurance, much like the shield and rampart mentioned in Psalm chapter 91. The broader biblical narrative also includes the poignant story of Ruth and Boaz, where protection is offered through family and community, reflecting God's provision and care. Ruth, a sojourner in a foreign land, finds refuge under the wings of Boaz's generosity and kindness, painting a tangible picture of divine shelter through human action. Finally, the words of Jesus in the New Testament resonate with the themes of Psalm chapter 91. In the Gospel of John, Jesus assures his followers, "My sheep listen to my voice, I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish, no one will snatch them out of my hand." This promise of eternal security reflects the abiding protection and faithfulness of God, as vividly portrayed in Psalm chapter 91. In summary, Psalm chapter 91 does not stand isolated but rather interwoven into the rich and intricate narrative of the Bible. It transcends its verses, echoing in the afflictions faced by Israel, the trials of the faithful, and the promises of Christ. It is a testament to the enduring themes of protection, shelter, and faith that permeate the Holy Scriptures, offering solace and strength to all who seek refuge under the shadow of the Almighty. To delve into the historical context of Psalm chapter 91 is to embark on a journey through the annals of ancient Israel, where danger and exile were ever-present realities, shadowing the lives of its people. The precise timing and circumstances surrounding the composition of this psalm remain shrouded in mystery, yet scholars often posit that it emerged during periods of profound peril, perhaps when the Israelites faced threats from foreign invaders, pestilence, or internal strife. In these tumultuous times, the heartfelt cry for divine protection and refuge, as expressed in Psalm chapter 91, would have held immense resonance. Picture a beleaguered community seeking solace and security amidst the chaos, clinging to the promise that He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. These words offered not just comfort but a profound assurance of God's unwavering presence in the midst of life's fiercest storms. As we traverse through the epics of ancient Israel, we observe how the concept of divine protection was not static but evolved with the unfolding narrative of Israel's history. Initially, God's protection was often perceived in very tangible terms. He was a mighty warrior who delivered His people from the hands of their enemies, a sheltering rock in the physical sense. The Exodus story is a quintessential example, where Yahweh's intervention on behalf of the Israelites, leading them out of Egyptian bondage, was seen as the ultimate act of divine deliverance. However, as Israel's story continued and the people encountered periods of exile and dispersion, the understanding of divine protection began to deepen and expand. The Babylonian exile, a seminal event in the history of Israel, catalyzed a shift in spiritual perception. Displaced from their homeland and temple, the Israelites were compelled to reconceive their relationship with God beyond geographical confines and physical symbols. During these trying times, Psalm chapter 91 would have served as a beacon of hope, reasserting that God's protective presence transcended the physicality of their circumstances. The imagery of God as a sheltering force, providing refuge under His wings, became a metaphor for divine nearness and comfort, irrespective of the external environment. It underscored a growing recognition that God's protection was not limited to physical safety but encompassed spiritual solace and assurance. Thus, the evolution of divine protection in ancient Israelite thought reflects a dynamic interplay between their historical experiences and theological reflections. The psalm encapsulates this journey, offering a timeless testament to the enduring belief in a God who shelters and safeguards his people through every vicissitude of life. Whether in the heights of triumph or the depths of despair, the promise of divine protection remained a cornerstone of faith, continually redefined and reaffirmed through the ages. In the grand tapestry of Israel's sacred writings, Psalm chapter 91 stands out as a lyrical affirmation of God's unassailable fortress, a refuge not just from physical perils but from the existential fears that beset the human soul. Its historical roots, intertwined with the hopes and struggles of an ancient people, imbue it with a timeless relevance, offering solace and strength to all who seek the shelter of the Almighty's wings. It is in the realm of significant biblical figures that we find the deeply human connection to Psalm chapter 91. Let us first turn our attention to David, the shepherd boy who became a king. David's life was a tapestry woven with moments of divine intervention and mortal peril. As he fled from the relentless pursuits of Saul, hiding in caves and seeking refuge, one can easily imagine David reciting the words, "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge." Psalm chapter 91 verse 4. David's reliance on God's protection is vividly illustrated in his own heartfelt psalms, where the language of trust and refuge mirrors the comforting assurances of Psalm chapter 91. In times of darkness and threat, these sacred words would undoubtedly have offered him solace, a reminder of the Almighty's sheltering presence. We then come to the Israelite warriors, those valiant men who faced the terrors of battle. Picture them standing on the brink of war, their hearts perhaps gripped with fear and uncertainty. The promise that thousands may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. Psalm chapter 91 verse 7 would have been a source of immense comfort. This assurance would summon courage in the face of the most terrifying odds, reinforcing their faith in a divine protector who watched over their every step. Let us not forget the prophets, those tireless messengers of God's will, who often found themselves besieged by opposition and danger. Figures like Elijah and Jeremiah, whose paths were fraught with peril, might have drawn strength from the promise that no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent. Psalm chapter 91 verse 10. Elijah, in particular, during his flight from Queen Jezebel's wrath, could have found a calming balm in the words, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Psalm chapter 91 verse 11. How these words must have echoed in his heart as he lay under the juniper tree, waiting for divine intervention. Jeremiah too, who faced imprisonment and plots against his life, would have resonated deeply with the psalmist's assurance of deliverance and protection. The promise that they will tread on the lion and the cobra, Psalm chapter 91 verse 13, speaks to the divine strength that the prophets needed to overcome the metaphorical beasts of their adversities. Thus, Psalm chapter 91 serves as a timeless testament to God's unwavering protection, a beacon of hope that imbues the lives of these significant biblical figures with a profound sense of security and peace. Whether it is David finding refuge from his enemies, the Israelite soldiers girding themselves for battle, or prophets like Elijah and Jeremiah facing insurmountable odds, the sacred verses of Psalm chapter 91 provide a sturdy fortress of faith and divine shelter. In reflecting on these lives, we are reminded that the themes of Psalm chapter 91 are not bound by time or circumstance. They are the eternal whispers of God's promise, capable of reaching into the depths of human anxiety and fear, and transforming it with the soothing balm of divine assurance. Let us hold these truths close to our hearts, just as these great figures of faith once did, trusting in the shelter of the Most High and finding rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Theological concepts. In our quest to understand the divine, one cannot overlook the profound concepts found within Psalm chapter 91. This sacred text, often whispered in times of peril, offers a balm of divine protection, an anchor of faith in God's omnipotence, and a glimpse into the intricate tapestry of His providence. Let us delve into these theological vistas and uncover the treasures that lie within. Firstly, we encounter the concept of divine protection. The psalmist poetically assures, "He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart." Psalm chapter 91 verse 4. This imagery evokes a maternal tenderness, likening God to a mighty bird sheltering its young from the tempests of life. It is a promise of safety amidst chaos, a divine sanctuary where fear has no foothold. The idea of protection here is not merely physical but deeply spiritual. It speaks to a God who is intimately involved in the fabric of our being, guarding our souls against the unseen yet palpable forces of darkness. This divine guardianship is a recurring theme in the scriptures, echoing the sentiments found in other psalms, such as Psalm chapter 23 verse 4. "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." Next, we explore the concept of faith in God's power. The psalmist boldly declares, "You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day." Psalm chapter 91 verse 5. Such faith is not born from blind optimism but a deep-seated trust in God's omnipotence. It is a faith that stands firm in the face of adversity, rooted in the knowledge that God's power is supreme and unassailable. This faith is beautifully illustrated through the lives of biblical figures who, despite overwhelming odds, trusted in God's power. Consider David, who faced Goliath not with conventional weapons, but with his unwavering faith in the Almighty. Or Daniel, who amidst the lion's den, rested in the assurance of God's might. These narratives serve as beacons, illuminating the path of faith for all who seek divine intervention. Lastly, we turn our gaze to the idea of God's providence. Psalm chapter 91 unfolds this divine mystery as it speaks of God's ultimate control and benevolence. "If you say, 'The Lord is my refuge,' and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent." Psalm chapter 91 verses 9 to 10. Here, the psalmist invites us to dwell within God's provision, to rest in His perfect plan. Providence is the governing hand of God in the affairs of the world. It is the belief that every facet of our lives, from the mundane to the monumental, is orchestrated with divine precision. Such a belief comforts us with the knowledge that we are not subject to the whims of fate but are held within the careful and loving oversight of our Creator. Psalm chapter 91, thus, becomes a cornerstone for understanding the divine-human relationship. By embracing the concepts of divine protection, faith in God's power, and His providence, believers are invited into a deeper, more intimate walk with God. It is a walk marked by trust, security, and an unwavering confidence in the one who holds all things together. As we navigate the intricacies of this sacred text, let us hold fast to these theological truths. Let them be a guiding light in our journey, offering solace in times of trouble and renewing our faith in the divine providence that directs our steps. For in the shadow of the Almighty, we find not only refuge but also the boundless grace of a God who is ever present, ever faithful, and ever true. In the grand tapestry of theological exposition, few psalms have inspired as deep a well of interpretation and reflection as Psalm chapter 91. This majestic piece of sacred scripture has drawn forth the intellectual devotions of some of Christianity's most influential thinkers. First, let us turn our gaze upon Augustine of Hippo, a towering figure in early Christianity. Augustine's confessions and theological treatises offer profound meditations on human nature and divine grace. When Augustine pondered Psalm chapter 91, he did not merely see words of comfort but an encompassing vision of God's protective sovereignty. He viewed the psalm as a spiritual bulwark, a clarion call for believers to place unwavering trust in the providence of the Most High. For Augustine, the psalm's promise of refuge under divine wings was not just metaphoric poetry but a theological truth, affirming that God's faithfulness serves as an adamantine shield against life's trials and tribulations. Next, we dwell briefly in the Reformation period, where Martin Luther's voice thundered across the annals of Christian doctrine. Luther, whose own life was a testament to the harrowing trials of faith, held Psalm chapter 91 in great reverence. In Luther's interpretation, he perceived an echo of the believer's struggle against sin, evil, and suffering. For him, the terror by night and arrow that flies by day symbolized the manifold spiritual assaults faced by the devoted. Psalm chapter 91, for Luther, was a potent reminder of the omnipotent guardianship promised to those who seek refuge in God's truth. The psalm thus became a cornerstone in Luther's teaching, reinforcing the concept that in faith we find impregnable security against the adversities of a fallen world. In the modern era, theological scrutiny of Psalm chapter 91 has continued to evolve, informed by both historical critical methods and contemporary exegesis. One notable contributor to this ongoing dialogue is Walter Brueggemann, a scholar whose work has often bridged the ancient texts to modern faith practice. Brueggemann interprets Psalm chapter 91 as a text saturated with profound trust, a liturgy of assurance amidst chaos. He posits that the psalm functions as a divine assurance policy, where the faithful are invited to rest in the covenantal faithfulness of God, reinforcing a fundamental theme found throughout the entire biblical narrative. Moreover, scholars such as N.T. Wright have emphasized the Psalm's relevance to the Christian understanding of Jesus Christ's redemptive work. Wright interprets the Psalm as a pointer to the Messiah, who fully embodies God's protective and salvific promises. Next to the ancient and medieval, the Psalm continues to capture the imaginations of modern theologians, projecting its shadows and lights onto the contemporary experience of believers. The diverse interpretations offered by Augustine, Luther, and modern scholars like Brueggemann and Wright illustrate the perennial significance of Psalm chapter 91. It stands as a testament to the psalm's powerful resonance through the ages, a sacred chorus that proclaims God's unyielding protection to all who find shelter in the shadow of the Almighty. As we stand under the same heavens that ancient texts sought to interpret, we find that their musings still shield us, offering echoes of peace in tumultuous times. In conclusion, pondering the insights of these eminent theologians not only enriches our understanding of Psalm chapter 91 but also deepens our appreciation for its timeless message. In the refuge it provides, we, like Augustine, Luther, and contemporary scholars, discover a profound truth: the assurance that the shelter of the Most High is neither ancient myth nor modern fiction, but an enduring reality within which we can securely rest. In exploring the timeless wisdom of Psalm chapter 91, we find ourselves at the crossroad of tradition and faith, a place where many have stood and found solace through the ages. The traditional view holds that Psalm chapter 91 offers literal protection for those who seek refuge in the Lord. This interpretation is not simply a relic of ancient belief but a living testament to the power of faith in divine protection. The assertion that Psalm chapter 91 conveys literal protection is deeply rooted in biblical evidence. Consider the verse, "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart." Psalm chapter 91 verse 4. Here, the imagery is strikingly vivid: a divine shield, a heavenly refuge, a promise of safeguarding against the perils of this world. The psalmist uses the metaphor of a bird covering its young to illustrate God's unwavering commitment to those who trust in him. Such a portrayal is not only poetic but also deeply comforting, offering a palpable sense of security. Furthermore, the promise pronounced in Psalm chapter 91 verse 7, "1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you," underscores this literal protection. This verse reassures believers that, irrespective of the chaos and calamity surrounding them, they will remain unharmed. The numerical emphasis here highlights the magnitude of God's protective power, a power that transcends the ordinary and ventures into the realm of the miraculous. The theological interpretations supporting this view have been articulated by various scholars and theologians throughout history. One such proponent was the great medieval theologian, Thomas Aquinas. Aquinas postulated that the divine providence described in Psalm chapter 91 is a manifestation of God's omnipotence and benevolence. He argued that the protection provided by God is not merely symbolic but an actual, tangible intervention in the lives of the faithful. Similarly, Martin Luther, a pivotal figure in the Reformation, drew upon Psalm chapter 91 in his expositions on faith. Luther believed that the psalm offered more than comfort. It was a divine assurance, a covenant between God and his people. He expounded on the notion that God's promises are to be taken at face value, highlighting that the words of the psalm are meant to bolster unwavering faith in divine shelter. In the realm of contemporary theology, the literal interpretation of Psalm chapter 91 continues to find resonance. Modern scholars argue that in a world rife with uncertainty and danger, the Psalm's literal promises serve as a bedrock of hope and trust. They contend that the experiences of countless believers who attest to experiencing God's protection further corroborate the Psalm's assurances. Indeed, personal testimonies and historical accounts abound with instances where believers profess to have witnessed divine protection in moments of dire need. From soldiers in the heat of battle reciting Psalm chapter 91 for safety, to individuals in everyday peril situations clinging to its promises, the psalm has been a source of miraculous deliverance. These stories transcend mere anecdote. They are perceived as affirmations of the psalm's potency and the real, protective presence of the Almighty. It is crucial to acknowledge that the trust in Psalm 91's literal protection is not an invocation of blind faith, but rather a steadfast reliance on God's encompassing power. It is a faith that aligns itself with the biblical principle that God is a refuge and a fortress for those who earnestly seek Him. Psalm chapter 91 verse 2. In concluding our reflection on this traditional view, we come to understand that Psalm 91's promise of protection is both a historical and contemporary wellspring of hope. Whether through the conviction of ancient theologians or the lived experiences of modern-day believers, the Psalm's assurance of literal protection stands as a testament to the enduring power of faith in the divine. As C.S. Lewis aptly observed, there is a kind of happiness and wonder that makes you serious. It is too good to waste on jokes. So too is the comfort found in Psalm chapter 91, an immeasurable treasure, profoundly serious, and too sacred to be dismissed lightly. In the course of our journey through the vast and intricate landscape of Psalm chapter 91, we encounter a significant crossroad. Should this psalm be taken literally or metaphorically? This question has sparked animated debates amongst theologians, scholars, and the faithful alike. To the uninitiated, it may seem like a trivial pursuit, but I assure you, this is a matter of great consequence. For centuries, the prevailing view was that Psalm chapter 91 offers literal and tangible protection to those who dwell within the sanctuary of faith. Warriors on the battlefield, mothers at home, and indeed anyone facing perilous circumstances have clung to its words as a shield against harm. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. Psalm chapter 91 verse 3. They recite, expecting that a divine hand will turn back arrows and fend off plague. Yet in our modern age, where science and skepticism cast long shadows, a cadre of thinkers proposes a more nuanced interpretation. Rather than viewing Psalm chapter 91 as a guarantee of physical safety, these voices suggest that the psalm speaks to spiritual protection. They posit that God's promises in this sacred text are meant to fortify the soul, to provide inner peace and strength amidst external storms. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. Psalm chapter 91 verse 4 becomes less about physical feathers and more about the comfort and solace found in God's presence. This metaphorical interpretation is not without its merits. It aligns well with the non-literal reading strategies employed in certain traditions of biblical exegesis, where allegory and symbolism reveal deeper truths. It lends itself to the understanding that God's providence may not always shield us from harm but will always fortify our spirits to endure it. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Psalm chapter 91 verse 5 takes on a new meaning. The terror still exists, the arrows still fly, but the heart that trusts in God will not be paralyzed by fear. Moreover, considering this psalm metaphorically does not necessarily negate its promises of protection. Rather, it reframes them in a way that harmonizes with the reality of human suffering and the mystery of divine purpose. It acknowledges that while righteous individuals may indeed face calamity, their faith sustains a deeper layer of their being, a layer impervious to the caprices of fate. There are also those who straddle the middle ground, suggesting a dual interpretation. They argue that while the psalm speaks to spiritual protection, instances of physical deliverance should not be disregarded. God, in His infinite wisdom and mercy, may choose to intervene in miraculous ways, shielding His faithful from harm as a testament to His power. But they emphasize that such physical manifestations are an outward sign of an inward grace, not the substance of the promise itself. Thus, Psalm chapter 91 stands as a testament to the multifaceted nature of divine scripture. It invites us to delve deep, to question, to interpret, and ultimately, to find a reading that speaks to our soul's condition. Whether one leans towards a literal or metaphorical understanding, the essence remains unchanged. A call to unwavering trust in God's providence and the assurance of His sheltering presence. As we ponder these theological debates, let us remember that the primary purpose of Psalm chapter 91, as with all sacred texts, is to draw us closer to the divine. It is less about the mechanics of protection and more about the relationship of trust and faith we build with our Creator. Let us embark on a journey across the vast landscape of religious beliefs on divine protection, a journey that finds its origin within the hallowed verses of Psalm chapter 91. This psalm, a beautifully woven tapestry of divine assurance, extends its themes far beyond the confines of ancient Israel, resonating deeply within the annals of human spirituality. In the sacred texts of ancient Egypt, one may find striking parallels to the themes of Psalm chapter 91. The Egyptians, deeply immersed in a worldview fraught with divine and supernatural forces, often sought protection through prayers and hymns dedicated to their gods. Consider, for instance, the spell for protection of the dead, found within the famous Egyptian Book of the Dead. This text proclaims the protective grace bestowed upon the deceased by the gods, much akin to the psalmist's assurance of being cradled under the wings of the Almighty. In both traditions, we find a fervent plea for divine guardianship, a yearning for safety within the embrace of a higher power. However, there are subtle differences. While Psalm chapter 91 exudes an intimate relationship with a singular deity, the Most High, the Almighty, the Egyptian prayers often depict a pantheon of gods, each with their specific domain of protective power. This multitude of divine protectors reflects a more fragmented view of divine guardianship, contrasted with the monotheistic and consolidated divine shelter portrayed in Psalm chapter 91. Venturing to the ancient lands of Mesopotamia, we encounter yet another remarkable confluence of protection themes. The Mesopotamian hymn known as the Hymn to Shamash, dedicated to the sun god Shamash, echoes the sentiments of divine safeguarding similar to those found in Psalm chapter 91. Within the verses of this hymn, Shamash is implored to be a shield and a protector, guiding his followers through the perils of life. The hymn's plea for benevolence and a safe passage through adversities aligns with the psalmist's faith in divine deliverance and refuge. Yet again, differences emerge. The Mesopotamian hymn places a strong emphasis on the sun god's all-seeing eye, his ability to pierce through the darkness and bring justice, juxtaposing the intimate, sheltering imagery of Psalm chapter 91. The psalm speaks of a God who offers personal and tender care, sheltering his faithful under his wings, whereas Shamash's protection is portrayed with a broader, more judicial stroke. What are we to make of these comparisons? At their core, these ancient texts reveal a shared human quest for divine protection amidst the uncertainties of mortal existence. In every culture, amidst every historical epoch, the human heart has sought solace in the belief that a higher power watches over us. Whether through the feathered canopy of the Almighty's wings in Psalm chapter 91, the pantheon of protective deities in Egypt, or the omniscient justice of Shamash in Mesopotamia, the desire for security in the divine remains a universal chord. Indeed, this exploration illuminates the profound interconnectedness of humanity's spiritual heritage. These sacred texts, though varied in their divine portrayals, converge on the timeless truth that the divine offers sanctuary. Across cultures and epochs, Psalm chapter 91 stands as a testament to this universal yearning, its verses reverberating through the sacred halls of human history, whispering the same promise. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Thus, as we ponder the hidden dimensions of Psalm chapter 91, we find ourselves not merely within the bounds of an ancient Judean prayer but in a timeless dialogue that spans the breadth of human spirituality. It is in this broader context that Psalm 91's themes are enriched, offering not just a shelter for Israelite souls but a sanctuary that echoes with the prayers and hymns of humanity's collective spiritual journey. In our quest to unearth the hidden dimensions of Psalm chapter 91, we mustn't overlook the fascinating world of archaeology. It is within the soil and rock of ancient lands that the whispers of bygone eras come to life, telling tales of faith and divine protection etched by hands long turned to dust. Archaeological discoveries have occasionally brought to light ancient scrolls and inscriptions that resonate with the themes of Psalm chapter 91. Among these finds are the manuscripts from Qumran, better known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Nestled along the craggy cliffs overlooking the Dead Sea, these scrolls, discovered in the mid-20th century, contain fragments of biblical texts that date back to the Second Temple period. Among them, portions of the Psalms echo faintly, bridging millennia to remind us of the enduring nature of these sacred songs. One particular discovery of interest is a collection of amulets and inscribed pottery shards from the ancient Levant. These objects, sometimes referred to as apotropaic, were believed to hold protective power. Inscriptions on these items often mirrored the language found in Psalm chapter 91, invoking divine protection against evil and harm. It's as if the ancients, much like individuals today, sought tangible tokens to bear the intangible: faith, hope, and divine shelter. The context and significance of these archaeological finds cannot be overstated. They serve as a testament to the human yearning for divine intervention and protection throughout the ages. These artifacts reveal that the invocation of divine guardianship, as expressed in Psalm chapter 91, was not confined to the pages of Scripture but was vividly alive in the everyday objects of ancient life. Each artifact, whether it be a scroll fragment or a pottery shard, is a fragment of a larger, beautiful mosaic that depicts human reliance on the divine. Moreover, the discovery of such artifacts provides invaluable insights into the spiritual lives of ancient peoples. They tell us that the words of Psalm chapter 91 were not merely poetic musings but were actively integrated into the lived experience of those who sought shelter under the wings of the Almighty. These findings underscore the cultural and spiritual continuity that spans from antiquity to our present age, illustrating how themes of divine protection have consistently resonated across time. Indeed, these archaeological treasures invite us to ponder the ways in which we, too, seek refuge and draw upon the sacred. As we reflect upon the ancient inscriptions and amulets, we connect more deeply with our forebears in faith who, like us, found solace in the promises of divine protection. Through the lens of archaeology, Psalm chapter 91 emerges not merely as an ancient text but as a living testament to the perennial human journey toward seeking and finding sanctuary in the divine. Psalm chapter 91 is a text that has kindled the flames of academic debate among scholars who approach it with varying methods and perspectives. This psalm, with its profound promise of divine protection, invites analysis that spans across historical critical methods and literary analysis, each contributing unique insights and posing intriguing challenges to traditional readings. At the heart of the historical critical method lies an examination of the historical context in which Psalm chapter 91 emerged. This approach seeks to uncover the socio-political climate, the likely authorship, and the specific circumstances that may have influenced the composition of this psalm. Some scholars argue that Psalm chapter 91 was written during a period of national crisis, possibly during the Babylonian exile, when the Israelites were in dire need of reassurance and divine protection. This historical backdrop, they suggest, imbues the psalm with a poignant urgency and a profound resonance for its original audience. Literary analysis *, on the other hand, delves into the structure, motifs, and language of Psalm chapter 91. This method dissects the poetic devices and symbolic imagery employed, such as the protective metaphor of wings, and the depiction of God as a refuge and fortress. Literary critics often highlight the psalm's unique rhythm and parallelism, noting how these elements serve to reinforce its themes of safety and divine guardianship. These academic lenses either confirm or challenge the traditional readings of Psalm chapter 91. For many, the historical critical insights deepen the understanding of the psalm's contextual roots, enriching its relevance and grounding its promises in the lived experiences of ancient Israel. This perspective confirms the view that the psalm was a source of solace and strength for a community in distress. Conversely, some literary analyses challenge traditional interpretations by suggesting that the protective promises in Psalm chapter 91 are more metaphorical than literal. Critics from this school of thought argue that the psalm should be read as a poetic expression of faith rather than a direct assurance of physical safety. They contend that the vivid imagery serves to inspire confidence in God's overarching care, rather than guaranteeing immunity from all harm. Consequently, these scholarly debates underscore the psalm's complexity and its potential for diverse interpretations. The historical critical method lends weight to the psalm's immediate relevance to its original audience, while the literary approach invites us to appreciate its timeless poetic beauty and profound spiritual insights. Both together enrich our understanding and invite us to engage with Psalm chapter 91 in a more nuanced and reflective manner. In summation, the academic discourse surrounding Psalm chapter 91 reveals it to be a text that is both historically anchored and richly layered in its literary artistry. Whether confirming traditional views or challenging them, these debates invite readers to delve deeper into the psalm's multifaceted message, enhancing their spiritual and intellectual engagement with this cherished biblical passage. Even in this age of skepticism and rationality, we often find the tales of miraculous events weaving through the tapestry of our existence, whispering of deeper connections between the tangible and the divine. As we turn our gaze towards Psalm chapter 91, we uncover accounts of astonishing occurrences that believers attribute to the sheltering power of this ancient text. One such account hails from the tumultuous period of World War I. It is said that a detachment of soldiers from the 91st Infantry Brigade, staunch in faith and unity, recited Psalm chapter 91 daily. They became known as the Psalm chapter 91 Brigade. Amid the grim carnage and chaos of war, these soldiers witnessed what can only be described as a divine shield. While other units suffered grievous losses, the brigade emerged from one ferocious battle unscathed, leaving them, and onlookers, firm in the belief that a celestial hand had granted them protection. In more recent times, stories abound of individuals who clung to Psalm chapter 91 in moments of dire peril. During natural disasters, such as hurricanes and earthquakes, there are numerous testimonies of those who claim to have been saved by invoking this psalm. An instance was recorded during Hurricane Katrina, where survivors attributed their inexplicable escape from death's grasp to the profound faith they placed in the promises articulated within Psalm chapter 91. The scientific community approaches these narratives with measured skepticism. To them, these stories often appear as simple acts of coincidence or psychological phenomena. They point towards the human brain's remarkable ability to seek patterns and meaning, especially in moments of extreme distress. The comfort and assurance derived from reciting a psalm may, in their view, bolster an individual's resilience, thus enhancing their capacity to survive adverse conditions. However, placing all these accounts merely within the realm of psychological fortitude ignores an aspect that so many find compelling: the notion of divine intervention. Theological scholars, drawing on centuries of interpretive work, offer a different lens. They argue that the faith expressed in Psalm chapter 91 opens a conduit to God's protection, transcending the boundaries of mere survival instinct. The belief that He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge, does not just fortify the heart. It invokes a sacred covenant between the believer and the Almighty. Take, for example, the case of Corrie ten Boom, a Dutch Christian who, during World War II, provided refuge to Jews fleeing Nazi persecution. Throughout this perilous time, she held steadfast to the verses of Psalm chapter 91. Consumed by the apostolic fervor, her family's home became a secret sanctuary. This act of divine defiance and their incredible eventual survival bore, for many, the unmistakable marks of providence. The miraculous events and phenomena tied to Psalm chapter 91 compel us to ponder. Are they remnants of an ancient enchantment, or mere accidents dressed in the raiment of faith? The grand tapestry of theology suggests that such occurrences are not aberrations, but rather perfectly orchestrated chapters in the divine narrative. Miracles, it argues, are not violations of the natural order, but affirmations of a higher order that transcends our understanding. And so, we find ourselves on the threshold of mystery. Be it through the lens of science that seeks logical coherence, or the prism of faith that embraces the miraculous, Psalm chapter 91 continues to resonate. It stands as a testament to the unyielding hope and eternal refuge promised to those who dwell within the shelter of the Most High. The miraculous, it seems, is not merely in the event itself, but in the faith that makes us open to its possibility. In the intricate fabric of Christian faith and practice, Psalm chapter 91 stands as a luminous thread, intertwining personal devotion and communal worship. This sacred psalm, often referred to as the soldier's prayer, has long been a beacon of hope and a fortress of spiritual refuge for believers across generations. In this exploration, we embark on an odyssey to understand how Psalm chapter 91 influences individual faith and community worship practices, while also delving into contemporary accounts and testimonies that attest to its enduring power. Psalm chapter 91 begins with a profound promise: whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This opening verse sets the tone for a personal journey of faith, inviting the believer into a deep, protective relationship with God. It speaks to the heart of personal devotion, where one finds solace and strength through intimate communion with the divine. The imagery of dwelling and resting under God's shadow evokes a sense of profound trust and assurance, fostering an unshakable faith that God is the ultimate refuge. This psalm's influence on personal faith can be seen in the daily spiritual practices of believers who turn to its verses for comfort and strength. Whether recited during morning prayers or whispered in times of distress, the words of Psalm chapter 91 serve as a spiritual anchor. The promise of divine protection, as articulated in verses such as, "He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge," resonates deeply with individuals seeking reassurance in their personal walk with God. It cultivates a profound sense of peace, knowing that they are under the vigilant care of the Almighty. Beyond individual devotion, Psalm chapter 91 profoundly shapes community worship practices. In many congregations, this psalm is a regular fixture in liturgies, particularly in times of collective anxiety or crisis. It is not uncommon for churches to incorporate Psalm chapter 91 into communal prayers, recognizing its power to unify believers under the shared assurance of God's protection. This collective recitation fosters a sense of solidarity and mutual reliance on divine providence, strengthening the communal fabric of faith. The influence of Psalm chapter 91 extends to contemporary accounts and testimonies, where its verses are seen as a source of miraculous deliverance and comfort. Consider the story of a soldier who, amidst the chaos of battle, clung to Psalm chapter 91 as a shield of faith. He recounted how the words, "You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day," provided a supernatural sense of calm and protection. Such testimonials underscore the timeless relevance of this psalm, showcasing its ability to inspire faith and courage in the face of adversity. Similarly, accounts from the front lines of health crises, natural disasters, and personal trials reiterate the Psalm's comforting embrace. A healthcare worker, navigating the uncertainties of a pandemic, might find solace in the assurance, "No harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent." These contemporary testimonies bear witness to the Psalm's enduring power to uplift, providing a sanctuary of hope and faith amid the turbulent waves of life's storms. Thus, Psalm chapter 91 continues to be a vital force in shaping both personal faith and community worship practices. Its promises of divine protection and refuge speak deeply to the human heart's desire for security and peace. Through daily recitations, communal prayers, and lived experiences of deliverance and comfort, this ancient song of assurance remains a steadfast pillar, guiding believers into the restful shadow of the Almighty. As we meditate on its verses and incorporate its truths into our lives, we find ourselves enveloped in the protective embrace of a God who promises to shelter us under His wings. Psalm chapter 91, long treasured as a sanctuary of divine promise, has transcended mere words written on parchment. It has inspired generations of artists, authors, and musicians to capture its profound essence in their works. This opens a vault of cultural gems, wherein we find the psalm woven into the very fabric of humanity's artistic heritage. In the realm of *art*, one cannot overlook the myriad tapestry of visual interpretations. Medieval manuscripts, adorned with gilded illuminations, often depict figures enveloped by angelic wings, embodying the psalm's assurance of heavenly protection. Renaissance painters, too, found in Psalm chapter 91 a source of transcendental inspiration. Among them, the works of Caravaggio come to mind, where chiaroscuro contrasts conjure the interplay between light and darkness, symbolizing divine intervention amidst human peril. Literature *, in its vast expanse, holds Psalm chapter 91 as a cornerstone of influence. John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress is one such work that echoes the psalm's promise of divine safeguarding throughout the journey of life. The protagonist Christian, beset by trials and tribulations, finds solace in verses reminiscent of Psalm chapter 91, underscoring the certainty of divine refuge. Moving forward in time, the music of Psalm chapter 91 ranges from the haunting melodies of Gregorian chants resonating in ancient cathedrals to the soaring harmonies of contemporary worship songs. Handel's Israel in Egypt triumphantly incorporates the protective themes from this sacred text, weaving them into a rich musical narrative that has stood the test of centuries. In modern day, artists like Michael W. Smith breathe new life into Psalm chapter 91 through anthems that uplift and fortify the listener's faith. The portrayal in films and modern literature captures the psalm's timeless relevance against the backdrop of today's complex world. Movies like Black Hawk Down and Pearl Harbor evoke Psalm chapter 91 as soldiers, facing insurmountable odds, cling to its verses for comfort and courage. These cinematic representations not only pay homage to the historical significance but also underscore the continuous human quest for divine protection in the face of danger. Contemporary authors weave Psalm chapter 91 into their narratives, offering a lens through which characters navigate life's adversities. Novels such as The Shack by William P. Young explore this theme, presenting readers with a tangible sense of God's encompassing wings amid profound personal suffering and loss. Such stories resonate deeply, reflecting the universal search for shelter in tumultuous times. Through these diverse cultural lenses, we discern a singular and timeless truth. Psalm chapter 91 remains a beacon of hope and an unwavering testament to the belief in divine guardianship. Its influence permeates the realms of art, literature, music, and beyond, encapsulating humanity's enduring faith in the face of life's relentless storms. As we draw our exploration of Psalm chapter 91 to a close, let us take a moment to revisit the key findings and themes we've discussed. We've delved into the protective power of this profound psalm, understanding it not just as a mere collection of words, but as a divine promise of refuge and deliverance. We've explored its historical context, considering the times of danger and exile that may have prompted its writing. In doing so, we've seen how the ancient Israelites, embattled and in need of solace, turned to these verses for strength and protection. The theological interpretations we've examined shed light on the rich tapestry of divine protection, faith, and providence. Theologians across ages, from Augustine to Martin Luther, have grappled with its meanings, each contributing to our contemporary understanding. And lastly, we've appreciated the cultural impact of Psalm chapter 91, observing how it has been depicted in art, literature, and music throughout the centuries. Its enduring significance in modern faith cannot be overstated, as it continues to offer comfort and assurance in uncertain times. As we reflect on these themes, I encourage you to take the lessons of Psalm chapter 91 to heart. Let its words be a shield and a source of peace in your life. If you found this discussion insightful, please subscribe to our channel, like the video, and share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your feedback is invaluable to us. Let us know what other biblical studies and spiritual topics you'd like us to cover in the future. Together, we can continue this journey of faith, discovering the depths of wisdom and solace within the Scriptures. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the assurance of your protection as promised in Psalm chapter 91. In these troubling times, we seek refuge under your wings and lean on your faithfulness as our shield. We pray for all those who are in danger, that they may feel your presence and protection. Grant us the faith to trust in your divine shelter, and give us peace knowing that you are our ultimate refuge. In your precious name, we pray. Amen. This structure aims to unpack the rich layers of Psalm chapter 91 while engaging the audience through various lenses, from historical context to contemporary relevance.